How you doing? How are you liking Nashville?
I like it. I've been here multiple times.
Have you before?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
have not.
yeah.
No, I have not. This is my first actual Nashville trip. And it's weird. I don't think I can really enjoy it because there's so much loud everywhere. It's so loud. I think that goes back to the ADHD thing we're talking about,
Yes.
which we will get to. But hi. So as you guys know, we're here with the community, many members. It's weird. Heads up though, everybody is just as nice as they are. And they're all really pretty. You know how you're like, oh, I don't know. You know, we got the sun coming in. You know, I don't know, like if they would be as pretty in person, like is it gonna be without filters? They're all pretty, right? Like their skin and everything. I'm like, you know why? It's because they're healthy. I think it's because they're healthy.
The social media TikTok, it adds to your face. So they're really slimmer than what they actually think. Oh yeah.
Oh, I feel like
everyone seems a little slimmer.
Oh, isn't that weird? Interesting. Anyway, hey. So we're gonna let Krystal tell her story. So I've explained to her we do it unfiltered, uncut. You know, it won't be uninterrupted, but I'm gonna try. And we're gonna have a discussion after that. So we're gonna hear her story. And like I told her before, like there's always at least one person that says, that sounds like me. I'm gonna go see my doctor. So that's what we're looking for. Be that person. Be it. All right. So tell us about your story. This is the space for you to just unfold.
All right. Go ahead. So I would say, first off, I started in December of last year. So I'm not a year, yet, like most people. I'm on my 42nd week actually going on for Mounjaro. And I would say my story started, if you want to really go back, is my grandmother was a diabetic, and I watched her growing up from taking her shots every single day and then being in dialysis all the time from the time I was young. And so that was my first introduction into what diabetes was. And then as time grew on, then it just showed up in a lot of places throughout my even 20s. My mom became a diabetic after she retired. My ex-husband became a diabetic when he was in his early 20s. And then just watching what the differences were, that my father's a diabetic, my mom's a diabetic, my grandma's a diabetic, and now, even my brother's diabetic. Like, it's just like, it's everywhere. And so seeing what it's even caused some deaths that I know about in relation to diabetes complications, including my grandmother. So, just understanding that, the future of diabetes, what it looks like, I've seen it firsthand. It's not a mystery. It wasn't like something that, I didn't watch from the time I was young. So as I saw myself, now that I'm in my 40s, unfortunately heading down these same trajectory, and having no solutions. There weren't real solutions. Pulling away from table and eating less and moving more, that's not a solution. It's not a solution, because if it was, everyone would be doing it, and they would, in fact, that's the same solution given to multiple things. So many things, but in particular for what it means to have insulin resistance and obesity. And for myself, I am, one of these individuals. I've had high cholesterol for 12 years. I have taken all the meds and done all the things. And from Weight Watchers to, I've tried all the things out there. Mm-hmm. So it just was not a matter of willpower. I was doing 90-minute Zumba classes. It didn't matter. But I have looked at my story, and I recognize I'm a little different, because I figured out I had fibroids when I was 27. And I also was late diagnosed for ADHD at 38. So, that's that. So also with that, and then I had a partial hysterectomy after having my daughter. So that was 10 years ago. So my hormone levels, everything was out of just everything. And I had been put on birth control since I was 16. So it automatically caused me to have a trajectory from the teenage years all through my 20s, where I was kind of like battling this uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure.
For a very long time.
Yeah.
So as I, went through the pandemic and weight piled on, just being transparent and honest here, over 200 pounds. So there's a moment to where I could not get it off. And it was just, there was nothing I could do, no matter how much I tried to go to the gym and watch what I ate and all those things. And so my doctor said, get your levels low, stress, lower your stress levels. So I did a lot of yoga. That's what I mean by I did the things.
Yeah.
I tried to do the things.
Yeah.
I'm not a gym girly. I'm honest about that. I am a single mom. I work really hard. I work a lot of hours. So I will not pretend like that is a real lifestyle that I can carry out.
Yeah.
And I have a very close-knit family. So I have a lot of family, requirements on me as well. And so I think that going into the doctor's office, him watching my blood work over the projection of years, because it's been years, not just one time.
Yeah.
He basically, he had people he knew on Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mondural, and he agreed that, you know, basically we need to do this. You are treading down the same path of becoming a diet. Your numbers, your glucose numbers, your all your things, like this is not going to get any better unless we do something.
Yeah.
And so he told me the plan, and the plan was you take this medication for 2 years, and we can possibly make it to where you will never become a diabetic if you change your relationship with food and you change. And I was like, sign me up. Like to not go through what my grandmother went through. My mother went through, like, there's nothing to talk about. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's
because
go.
Like people, I think too, when I think about my story, is like they say, well, what happens if you're on it for 5 years? I said, I was already taking cholesterol medication for how long?
Yeah.
Like, what would it matter?
Yeah.
If keep me on it for 10. As long as I'm not a diabetic and don't become one, I'm fine with that. But to be able to say now that I'm back at a weight that I was when I was 22 years of age,
oh my God,
blows my mind.
Yes.
You know, I was never a big, you know, like in high school, I was only a $120, $125 when I graduated. I was very athletic. I played sports, all the sports, you know. Yeah. So it wasn't that. So that's the reason I knew, like, my hormones got, you know, out of whack in my 20s, that it was just like, what's happening to my body and what's happening to all the things. So I think for me personally, I just want people to know, like, it's okay to recognize you can't control no one looks at someone with cancer and says, fix your cancer.
Yeah.
And so I also look at it in terms of the reason why I know this is, you know, going to, I feel, grow with time is, you know, the whole thought, because I have multiple conversations with multiple people about the longevity of being able to keep the weight off. But I purposely, for myself, I didn't do anything that I wouldn't be able to keep up.
Yeah.
So I didn't go in the gym really hard and start doing 4 and 5 day workouts when I know that wasn't me. I'm just not a gym girly. But I was able to, you know, shed basically 70 pounds. And most people look at me and they're like, you had 70 pounds when you? I was like, I know, right? And I'll never forget when my doctor first told me our maintenance weight. And I looked at him and said, you expect me to get to what? I said, okay, you know what? Listen, I love your ambition. You know, I was really like looking at him. You know,
yeah.
Sure. And so when I hit that weight, I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I will say it has definitely helped with my ADHD. It's improved that.
Yeah.
And I do feel like just overall, it's giving me more energy. I no longer, he was about to put me basically through a sleep apnea test, because I'm pretty sure we both know I had sleep apnea. I was a strong snorer. You know, my family would let me know every time on vacation.
Yeah.
To the point where they make videos and make fun. But so I look at this and I say, I avoided a sleep apnea machine every night. I avoid cholesterol medication. I'm avoiding in so many ways the thoughts of all the things of my achiness of being overweight. Overweight, my hips, my knees hurt constantly. And they don't anymore. Like, I don't even think people understand how great that is. And like, my daughter is in this Kid on the Run thing, and I was able to go and run with her. I would not have even attempted that. I would not even attempted that at 207 pounds.
No.
Would not even attempted it. My legs, my shins would have hurt.
Yeah, of course. And your knees and all the things.
Yeah. But I was able to do that. So that's why I'm like, I just realized it's more than just for me. It's also for my daughter. It's also for those around me in a way that I'm like, there's an alternative. And in the future, I think there'll be even more alternatives. And so my thought is, you know, like, why wait till you're a diabetic? Why wait? It makes no sense to me. It's like, if you could tell anyone that they could prevent themselves, it's preventative. You can prevent yourself from experiencing X. Yeah. And it's no different than chickenpox. I always tell people this example. Yeah. Like, I had horrible chickenpox when I was young. I mean, to the point where they were on the bottom of my hands and feet. Oh my gosh. And so my daughter will never experience chickenpox. So why would I look at her and say, you know what? You can't be preventative and not, you know, because I want you to experience chickenpox because I did. Yeah. Makes no sense.
Might not go through it.
Makes no sense.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes none.
No. Yeah. I don't understand it either. I mean, I a lot of it, and there's been a lot of eye-opening moments for me, like during making this podcast. So like when I started, I definitely had this mindset of this is for obese people and type 2 people. Like, that's what I thought. But now I've seen so many different, it's context, right? Like, I've seen so many different stories through different lenses. What I've come to realize is there are people who maybe deal with weight issues, right? 15, 20 pounds. And then they have something horrible happen to them. And because of all the bouncing around they've done for whatever reason or whatever that did to their body, then they hit the obese and they're in that category, and then they hit the type 2 and then they're in that category. So what the fuck are we doing? Like, it's just why are we doing this when we literally have solutions for it? Now, I know we have some doctors on the show that have been like evidence-based care. Like, they're not all of them are there yet. But then, like, we had Dr. Salas Whalen, who's double board certified. He's like, I am for preventing disease. I am 100% for that. And like, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever's like special for her. But like, we also talk about, like, I talked about like, PCOS and fibroids. And if you want to expand on it, it'd be great. But like, we just had an episode with Amy out here, but she was talking about her fibroids and how they like shrunk since you've been taking these medicines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And just things like that. Like, there's so many different, I think, uses for it. And we can sit here all day, I think, and say, what about in 5 years? And what about, I don't know that I have 5 years. I have no idea. Like, my doctor, I had an appointment with my doctor the other day, and he was like, you are relatively healthy. And I was like, relatively healthy?
Right. What? I have had the best luck. My husband has come back, and it's been the best it's been in almost 10 years.
That's amazing.
And I was shocked even seeing, like, oh my gosh, like, so I, for me personally, it's so much more than just about vanity or things of that nature. It's just not. No. And I will say that this is not an easy journey, because they don't understand. I think most people don't understand what it's like to be, whether it's plate watching, whether it's, coworkers, whether it's whatever, like, people are watching you go through this process and they see the transition. So now there's a point where some people think I'm too small. And so there's always these comments and there's always the things, right?
It's like those people have things that they say, I sound, but
I think too, it's almost one of those things too, where it's like, I think it's just easy. I had to be mindful of what I was eating, when I was eating, making sure I had, my pregame before my shot day, making sure I'm rotating my shots. Like, I had to do my own research in a lot of ways, because I didn't have anyone else on this medication but myself. So if it wasn't for social media and TikTok, and people hear me say TikTok girlies all the time, because I was like, no, my TikTok girlies said, and my podcast said, y'all need, and I've sent even out to people that wanted to know more about the information and things of that nature. And so I think too, education is key, because there's not a lot of education around it. And unfortunately, I think it's intentional, because if there's too much education, I think people will become way more aware that the rhetoric and the narrative of just eat less, move more is problematic.
Oh yeah. Have you realized lately, like, we've seen, the new thing is the problem with fast food not selling enough, and the problem with Walmart selling enough. Oh, it's the fat people's fault. It's the fat people on Ozempic. They're messing with the economy. They're messing with, sorry, we have the sun coming in. You're just gonna have to see it, guys. It's nice, but they're going to be, they're the ones who fault. So it's like, we lose weight and there's a problem. We don't lose weight and there's a problem. Like, it's just a consistent bullshittery of people blaming fat people for all the things. And like, it's constant. That narrative is so bad, to the point where I was like, let's make a podcast about it, because there are plenty of podcasts out there that talk about, there are a few, like we have one of our doctors that has one that's really, really good. But there's not like one podcast that focuses on these things. It's people that have similar podcasts and then they we'll have like an episode or two about this, but that's it, And so what, are people just supposed to find that? Like, it won't work. Right. It won't work. It's not working, because already I know we've got 6,000 people, or more, that subscribe or watch or whatever to our podcast. But then we have 40% of America that's obese. And I know 40% of America is not on these medications, because if they're freaking for the elite at this point. Right. If you can't afford $1,000 a month, or if you don't have insurance, which was rare, right, that covers his medications, or even if people that are type 2, right, they can't get them. So I know that set of people are just out there and just starving for knowledge, and they're not all on TikTok either. No. We try to get them on TikTok, you know what I mean? We try. Exactly. But yeah, it's such a big problem. And like, I think that the more we learn and the more we talk about what this looks like and the treatment, as you go through life, I think it's really important.
I think I am excited though, because I do think, there's going to be enough individuals as examples, even yourself, myself, and like most of the people even here in Nashville, like, there's a reality where there's a future that we, like, I think anyway, of where where we're at now will be like, that was the beginning of this trajectory. And I know that can be fearful for, some industries, but to me, it's a beautiful thing to know that my daughter, who's only 10, like she can know that, she like, unfortunately there's other people who are younger, even now becoming diabetics, around us. And so there's a moment to where she can avoid that, and not go down the same path as her dad. And who not only was diabetic, had to go through dialysis, had to get a kidney replaced. Like things are happening. And that's the reason I'm like, this is personal for me because I know what diabetes does. And I've watched it from the time I was young. So, so I think I'm more optimistic that, if like, individuals start to see I'm treading down this path, hey, there's something I can do about it. Versus just try your hardest to keep doing all the things you've been doing for the last decade or two.
And
that aren't working.
Changes and work. That's what it's like. I don't want to hear a word about the sound. But yeah, I think I was curious too when you were telling us about like, kind of what you've gone through, that you had been, very athletic and stuff growing up. Did you ever struggle with like food wise? Is that something you felt, or as you were starting to?
I didn't know I even had it. That's what's crazy.
Even had it.
I'm telling you, and that's why I say, and I think it started, I'll be honest, I told you I tried all the things. I'm not joking. I mean, I was on Adapex before. Like that's what I mean. I've tried all the things. So when I first tried Adapex, that was the first notice that I had where I was like, hold on. Why am I not like, the thoughts were slowing down. Like, oh my goodness. And that was in my, I was what, 30, 31? So it still wasn't like, so it was still, so no, I did not realize that I've been dealing with that all the time. But now I know, that it's not something that has to persist, and I remember driving down the street, and there's this, restaurants on every side, everything you can imagine you want to eat is on the street. And I remember always getting in a dopamine hit of thinking about what I want to eat for dinner. And what am I going to pick up on the way home? And I would get excited about, piata. Like I would just, and I'm down like, no, I'm good. And piata will sit in my refrigerator for 3 days now.
So I'm curious because I sort of had something very similar. Like when I would go get my hair done, I would be like, I'm gonna go get my boba tea and I'm gonna go have a hot dog because it's like I just love a hot dog, and I would go through and like do that. And then when it stopped, it was very abrupt for me.
Yeah, it was.
And I could like go, I don't really want that. I don't really want that. You know what I mean? And then when I did it, I think our thing's up. Then when I did it, it was like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like because I had always used that as a way to get dopamine and a way to this and a way to that. And it had just always been such a problem. And so it's like, I had to learn. And I sort of started to learn, like, I'm actually enough. I don't need to do anything.
Right. Some of mine were a habit. Like I would go and order my food, so I pick it up on the way to work. I would get my Cloud9 pancakes from, this cafe here, and I would do certain things. And that's when it's like when I went to go do them, and I was like, hold on, I'm not even having the thought, but it's just a pattern. So that in itself also was such an adjustment.
The pattern piece. Yeah, like learning new patterns. What are you doing? Good Lord, we're all here together. This is not like a quiet studio. But yeah, that's awesome. Just sit down. Just sit down. Like they. Nashville problems. Yeah, I think that's cool. I wanted to say one thing to you that, like, can you please go then? Okay, the people that are coming. Just go. Yeah. We're gonna cut all this out, Lydia, okay? When Dr. Albert was on our season finale of episode 1, he said something I thought was really profound. And so I'm going to echo that everywhere I can. He said, we would take it more seriously if we looked at type 2 diabetes, what it is, organ failure. It's organ failure. So if we realized that people were literally on the path to organ failure, we would treat it now. But right now, people aren't thinking about it that way. They're like, come back in 3 months. Let's move more. Trying to like, that's not a prescription for anything. It's not. It's a prescription for me to lose 20 or 30 pounds, and then I'm going to be right back here, and then my A1C's going to be on the other side. It
was never about not losing it. I would lose pounds.
Yeah,
it should stay off.
It should stay off.
So who cares if I lost 10 pounds?
Mine is 30. My number is 30. And 100%. Me too. It was like I feel like a lot of people too. Like their number. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's just the set weight. It seems to be like 30 to 50. Like they're like, I could get off, but it's always coming back. It's always because it's always going.
And I
to.
know I feel really differently about this versus even when I was on Adapax. Because even when I was on Adapax, I think I lost 35 pounds.
Yeah.
What I know about this one is, again, I can tell and mentally tell my relationship with food has shifted.
Yeah.
I now know that I should not be eating an entire Chipotle bowl.
Or you shouldn't feel about it. If
Yeah.
you understand, like I shouldn't have
Right.
feelings about my food. Like it's just like that's it.
Or I realize now that my body doesn't need the entire Chipotle. That's the difference in the correlation. And then before, I would never be full.
Yeah.
So it would be like an endless pit that I would just continue to eat.
Yeah.
It just never ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ended. As being respectful of the fact that we're doing a podcast. I'm not annoyed. Lydia, you can cut that. I just needed to say it for the moment. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
I will get a message, and when I do, I will send it to you because that's how it works. And thanks for watching and subscribing to the podcast.
Yeah.
So much.
That's really funny.
Thank you so much. Okay, so guys, we're gonna have more stuff dropping. Just keep watching. It's coming around. We don't gate knowledge. Yay! We'll see you soon. And we're in the loudest chairs ever. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not farting. It's not happening. Bye.